I want to get to know Joel Diaz, not the coach, but the person. So give us a little background about yourself, Coach. Not too much, because we'll gradually get into it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
break us down a little bit.
well, I mean, I started in the sport of boxing at a really young age. I was 13 years old when I started boxing, and I mean, there's a lot of things to be said, and if we start, it will never end.
Yeah.
Actually, I got approached a couple of weeks ago. Some guy wants to do a reality with me. This guy works for TNT, and he's willing to come down and do a reality. And then there's a guy from Cancun that he listened to my story from the beginning of my career, and he already got the funds, and he wants to come down in May to do a series of my life.
Wow.
And
wow.
put it on Netflix and this. And I said, wow. He says, I'm very excited. I want to go out there and be with you and set it up. I already got the funds and ready to go, because my story it's a long story. It's a sad story. At the same time, it's like a roller coaster. You got some ups and downs. Not everything that shines is gold. We do have obstacles, and we go through some struggles. But it was hard getting to where I'm at right now. And to me now, it's harder to maintain where I am right now. And it was the fact that me being a kid in Mexico, I was born in Mexico, Michoacan, Mexico, and my parents left us over there with our grandparents to a point where I didn't know who our parents were. Honestly, they were here in the U.S. Working obviously to make a better living, and got to a point where years went by and we grew up with our grandparents. But there was a time where my parents decided to bring us over. And when they did, we're like, okay, we came to the United States without knowing who we're going to live with. But it was our parents. So coming into the United States, we had to adapt and, get to know the language, going to school and here and there. And starting as a kid, I got a hold of a newspaper route. And I used to deliver newspaper in a couple of streets where I live. And my hobby at the time was bikes. I would go to a yard sale and buy some rims, whatever, a couple of other friends. And one day, just riding our bikes around town in Coachella, we found out we run into the Coachella Boxing Club. And that's how we started. We went in there like every average kid goes in there and tries it out. And then we get in there and get some sparring, and we got our bloody noses and stuff, and we kept coming back. Boxing is a sport that I've always said it is very addictive. Regardless if you get beat up or you beat somebody up, you keep coming back. Up to this point in my life, if I walk away from the sport for a week on a vacation, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna rest. But 2 days later, I want to come back. And that's how my life started. I was 13 years old, weighing 136 pounds, and as I always say, and I always mention it, I lost my first 4 amateur fights as an amateur. It was tough because I said, I see a lot of fighters at that point. Back then, 1980, 1985, I see a lot of good names in the sport of boxing, great talent. But I was a kid, and I wanted to be a boxer. 13 years old, I fought one time, I lost. Second time, third time, fourth time. So I collected 4 second place trophies, where it was sad for me when I would wake up in the middle of the night, because that was a sport that I had so much passion for, but I'm not successful in it. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to go no more. But the next morning, I'll go run, get ready again. And that's what happens. And I've done a lot of speeches over my life in schools. When it's career day, I always get called for career day. This is not a career. I didn't go to school. I learned this, I learned this through life. So when I talk about my life, people are like, whoa, because I've always said, this is not for me. I lost my first fight, my second fight, my fourth fight. So, but the next morning I will wake up and I go running and I go to the gym. And then how everything started. I started losing weight, dedicating more time to the sport. At one point, I was 15 years old, weighing 100 pounds. And then I started dominating in the sport of boxing. But then I started setting goals, That's the reason why life is about setting goals and accomplishing your goals. I work hard for what I have and for what I want. I learned that since I was a kid because when I was growing up, it was the era of Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, and we're in the same era. And I would go to fights and I would see the tournaments, and I would always see Oscar De La Hoya winning, Shane Mosley winning, other fighters, Pepe Riley, and all those names at the time. But I was always the kid that was always competing, and I would see at the end of the tournament there was always a trophy. I remember the 4-foot trophy, and it was the fighter of the tournament, the most valuable fighter of the tournament, and it was always them. So to me, like, one day I'm gonna get that. One day I'm gonna get that. To me, that was like a world championship. Yeah. And I worked hard for it. Started winning fights, and then I went to a tournament in Arizona. I remember it was the Gene Lewis Invitational, and I won every single fight. And then the championships, I won with a very nice performance. And at the end of the tournament, they gave me a trophy. Like, hey, this guy's, man, I got the best fighter of the tournament. So to me, that was like a big accomplishment. Like, I was a world champion. So came back with my confidence very elevated. I was in town. I would go to school and my name was on the paper. Everybody knew I was a boxer. Every morning, my first period teacher would read the article, and it was good. It was a nice little run. I was doing really well in the amateurs, competed in a lot of tournaments, but everything hit when I qualified to go to the Olympics in 1992 in Barcelona, and I was there and I beat everybody, and all of a sudden, like, they come and they give me the news. We are sorry, you cannot participate. You cannot go. I know you're the number one, number one in the nation, but you cannot qualify right now. Why not? Because you're not a U.S. citizen. That was like a cold bucket of water, you know. So, and I was like, oh, that was my dream, you know. I was like, I work hard for this. Yeah, but you're not a U.S. citizen. You can't represent the U.S. because you're not. Okay, so what am I gonna do? What can I do? Well, you gotta go to Mexico and see if you could represent Mexico. But going to Mexico will be like starting all over again from the bottom. Yeah. Scaling up like that. So I turned pro, I turned professional, and as I started scaling up as a professional fighter, I was doing really good. I won the Intercontinental IBF title, beating the first guy to ever drop Oscar De La Hoya in his professional career. I won. From there on, I started moving up. I fought for the world title in South Africa against Philip Holliday, and from there on, everything was good. But I was having problems with my eye, you know, because I wanted to be a world champion. At one point, I wanted to get a most valuable fighter trophy. I got it, but then I wanted to become a world champion at that point. And fighting for a world championship, I was having problems with my eye. When I fought Philip Holliday, I was having problems with my right eye. And I remember I never told anybody. My only sparring was my brother, Antonio. I took him to Africa with me, and he would tell me, hey, keep your right hand up. I'm landing a left hook on you. I can't see it. At that time, I was having problems with my right eye, and I've had a problem with my eye since I was a kid, but then I had a retinal detachment. But as I was getting to the biggest fights, I was having problems with my eye where I couldn't see out of it. Went to Africa, and it happened by my bad luck. I get a cut on my right eye, right here. It was a cut from here all the way to the end of it, on my good eye. And I still fought 12 rounds. I remember there was blood all over, and then they would throw water on my head. But I couldn't see good out of this eye, and I had blood on my right. Okay, fought the fight. I lost the decision. Came back home, and I said, okay, I'm going to keep it as is. Things are going to get better. And then I got another opportunity to fight for a title eliminator, to fight for the WBC title against Stevie Johnston. And on my title eliminator, I honestly fought with one eye because by then I couldn't see out of it completely. The only one that knew was my brother Antonio and my wife. And I never told anybody, like, hey, you gotta tell somebody. No, I'll go to the doctor after. So I fought. Thank God I won the fight. And next day I go to the doctor, and that's when the doctor says, you know what? Your career's over. Your retina's detached pretty bad. And the clock is like from 1 to 7 o'clock. So it's pretty damaged. Mm-hmm. So there's not really much we can do. So basically you cannot fight anymore. And then that's how my story happened based on my eye. And when I retired as a fighter, then I just took me some time to digest it. It was hard for me because all I did was, was boxing. That's the only thing I did in my career. I didn't play any other sports. boxing was my primary and my only sport. So then I started helping Antonio. I went back to the gym, helping Antonio train, and he became a champion. And then Julio. So then, as I said at one point, I started accomplishing things. I got the best fighter of the tournament trophy. Got a few of those. As a professional, I wanted to be a world champion. My career went down the drain. I was an international champion. So when I decided to become a trainer, I said, I'm going to be a trainer. If I'm going to become a trainer, I'm going to be a trainer. I'm not going to be like one of those guys that, I'm going to try and see how it goes. I'm going to go 100%. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do it 100%. And being a trainer 100% like me is not easy. And I've seen it. I travel the world. I've seen trainers that are there and they go to fights just because they like to travel. They like to go and explore. I don't. I'm a trainer that I dedicate time to my fighters. If we go to New York, we land in New York and I'm there for the fighter. If he eats, we eat together. If he's resting, we rest together. I'm not like, he's in his room, I'm gonna go sightseeing. Nope. I'm right there. As soon as he wakes up, we go together, because he's my priority. Yeah. And that's what I do. And I've been to some of the most beautiful places in the world. I've been to Monaco. In Monaco, I was with Rula Provalnica, where everything's like, we go train, we go breakfast in the morning, we go train. He rests, we rest. Later on, we go train. At night, we walk together. But being a trainer, 100% is not easy because you have to sacrifice your family, special moments. Believe me, I've missed special family moments. Some of my kids' birthdays, my parents' birthdays, my wife's anniversaries. And it's a big sacrifice, but we're here and we love the sport. Now, my next project is I started building my gym, my own gym. I trained out at the Boys and Girls Club for many, many years. And, I was comfortable there because everything was provided by the city. But there was a point where the pandemic hit and I said, okay, I'm going to move on and I'm going to start my own thing. Thank God. For some people, the pandemic really hurt us, hurt a lot of people around the world. It hurt me too in a way, but to me also was a blessing. Because now I'm starting something that's going to be mine. It's going to be my legacy. And that's what I want to do, I want to have something that it speaks on my behalf when I'm no longer around,
Oh, very good.
And that's, I want to leave a legacy behind so that when in my absence, there's something that people can really talk about. We did a lot of good things with Tim Bradley, 5 world titles, Antonio, Julio, Omar Figueroa, Lucas Matisse, Francisco Vargas, Diego de la Hoya, and many more fighters. Now we got the new era of fighters. We got Bigg, Israel, the champion Akhmadaliev, Shakram, Raja Batir, and we're just getting better. I think that right now, at this point in my career, I am in my prime right now. I think that this is my moment. The past was just steps to get where I'm at right now, and now that I'm here, I think it's like I'm like a jet. I'm barely on the runway, and I'm barely gonna start elevating. And I'm gonna start taking off, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing for me having such a great team. That's why I had to bring people into my team. I got my brother Antonio now. After he retired, he's still in the sport. He is my right-hand guy here. When I leave, he stays. When he leaves, I stay. Now I included another member, a guy that actually made the first amateur event when I did my first amateur fight. Oscar Gracia. He's a man that has a lot of experience. He's trained a lot of good fighters in the past. And now he's a retired postman. He's here, he's helping me. And I expanded my team because I want to have a great team where all these fighters get the proper training, get the proper attention, and everybody gets their training in to perform at their best.
Thanks for tuning in on another cool episode of the Boxing Club Podcast. I am yours truly, Big Chubbs. That's my podmate, Lou Almighty. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all our latest and greatest videos. And stay tuned for more. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. Link down below. Here. Everywhere.
The Boxing Club Podcast.
We out.